me today. Well, new friend, I hope.
Yeah,
we're gonna work on this a little bit more. But this is Mike Collings, and he has a great background in whiskey. In fact, tonight we're launching the Firkin whiskey at Ainscote. Tell us a bit about your background. How do you do it tonight?
Oh, very simple, really. I really got into whiskey big time in about 1979, and that was with a mixture of Glenfarclas, and that was great whiskey to work on. And then
so when you say work on, what was your role with Glenfarclas?
I was working with John Grant and George Grant to make it a whiskey that people would appreciate. At that time, single malt whiskies were really unknown.
So you're there as blending?
No.
Distilling?
No, I was there being the brand manager. And starting it. How do we actually pitch this to people that have never actually knew what single malt whiskey is about?
Yeah.
And that was in the UK, because there were very little malt whiskey consumed. There was probably Glenfiddich in a nice triangular green bottle, and there was Glen Grant in Italy, and that was it.
Wow.
So cut your teeth on that, and actually the pleasure of actually putting together Glenfarclas 105 with a few people.
Oh, that's good.
Introducing that to people was
can you
actually
imagine
great.
what it would be like?
And never looked backwards, and then went on to that to what was to become United Distillers in 1987, and ran malt whiskey for that company for as part of 18 years.
Wow.
Great fun.
That's fantastic. There's actually a lot more on this guy. He's pretty humble. But it's pretty hard to follow up. That isn't Grant. Grant Wright, everybody, Odd Whiskey Company. He has got a plethora of fabulous whiskey. If you want something special, this is your guy. Here in Adelaide, but you can get it all around Australia.
Yeah.
And he'll probably send it to you overseas if you're going to pay enough.
Yeah, no, we've done that, that's for sure.
But do you want to introduce yourself a little bit, Grant?
Yeah, I've been on, my major claim to fame is that this chap over here, Mike Collings, is actually responsible for getting me into the business.
Oh, wow.
Because Mike, as this humble little man is, he created the Classic Six. And I remember my UDV reps coming in the mid-90s saying, you don't need all these whiskies, all you need is the Classic Six. And I thought, bugger that for a joke, I'm going to actually get out, because I know that there's 40 odd distilleries out there, and created a career out of it. And then lo and behold, a few years ago I met the guy, and he just, what do you say? Years ago I would have had a crack at him, but now, and then he tells me the story about why they created the Classic Six, and I felt, oh gosh, you're probably right. You've done us a really big service.
There you go.
So I've been in the trade for over 23 years now.
Yeah, so pretty fabulous to have these guys with me here today, doing the tasting. Way more knowledge than I have, so I'm just going to probably.
Sorry, what's your name?
I'm just the Admiral. That's it. That's all I am.
The Admiral. So what have we got here today?
All right, so today we've got a Glenglassaugh 30-year-old from 1986. That was also the year that they were mothballed before they then reopened again in 2008, I believe. Now, this has got Billy Walker's name on it now, for those who know Billy Walker from Benriach fame, and also from Glendronach.
Yeah, right.
And he's then moved on now to do Glenallachie. So, but this is during his time. Now this was put in a PX puncheon, I believe, for all its 30 years.
That's a big risk, isn't it?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because when the whiskey was first produced, the distillery in 1960, whenever they remade it, it was designed to make a light whiskey. So
putting that amount of flavour into it.
You take a light whiskey and then put it into a PX puncheon for 30 years. It's going to be very interesting.
It's also interesting for me too, because this comes from an era where I started my trade, and people used to think Glenglassaugh was highly collectible because they thought it was basically a closed distillery. So you're getting something really quite uniquely rare. But once they opened the new company up, the sort of gloss went off that side of the market. So, but this is different. This is almost guarantee it'll be so very different from what the modern is, which is the joy of this.
So their first whiskey when they re-released them was called Revival. Good sounding name really for what they've done, reviving it. But it had actually closed a couple of times in their history, and that was one of them was just before they then came and redid the distillery and improved it, wanting to make a light whiskey, which nowadays that's not what people are looking to do, are they?
Not really, but it was designed to be a whiskey for blending, so you didn't want a big. Well, you can either have a big tasty whiskey for blending and use a little of it, or you produce something that is lighter tasting. But it's quite interesting when they look at the kind of release material that says, well, we've distilled it for 10 years and then found out that actually we had a complex whiskey
on it, but
the nose is a gem. The nose is an absolute gem, but I just don't think
it develops over time. But the original nosing on it, you think, where's it gone?
Yeah. Well, 42 point whatever it was, 6 was it?
Yeah.
It's not.
Should come through. Should. Yeah. So what's happened to the recording?
Welcome back. Yes, we seem to somehow it stopped. We've now put it into our glass, and we've been tasting it. So 42.6%.
Yep.
30 years in sherry. You know, it'd make you think this.
PX sherry. Let's make sure of that.
Yeah. So you were thinking it's going to be pretty wooden, and it's not really.
It's a real surprise packet. Have a look at if you can see the colour on that. We assume there's no caramel colouring, so it's true to form.
It is
You're
very
expecting
dark.
Density, richness, and fatness and sweetness.
Yeah.
And this thing is, the word I want to use to it is ethereal. It's just got these really light ethereal flavours that are wandering through it.
It's a lovely word.
It's very good, very good.
I learned that off Simmons Full
Original.
But it does have like the whole notes of Christmas cake and stewed fruit.
But in a very delicate and light fashion, yeah. And the nose really does take you in. It's a magic nose, absolutely magic.
It does, but you sit there and go, for 30 years in a PX sherry, you would expect something much, much bigger.
Maybe that's why it's lasted, because the cask really didn't give up enough.
I think you'll find that the cask has been used a couple of times before.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be full of wood for 30 years.
So the technical term would be knackered, would it?
Yeah.
42.6%. This would be cask strength, we believe. And it was getting so low that they need to bottle it, because obviously if it drops below 40 they can't sell it as a Scotch whisky. So it need to be bottled. In terms of how it tastes, it's tasty. It tastes good.
Yeah, and there's a bit of sort of cream caramel character coming through it. There's
bit of chocolate.
tiny chocolate. Those sort of sweet ends. I actually thought a bit of
candied orange,
demerara sugar as well.
Demerara sugar, yeah. You get even a little bit of coffee to it too. You get a little of that spice.
Very minor.
You get a little hint of bitterness from possibly old wood or whatever it is, but it's pretty mild.
Yeah.
And I don't whether we mentioned before too. It just comes from an era that is non-existent now. Distilleries have changed style and are getting better at it and using much better oak today than ever would used in that era.
So they have much more of investment in knowledge in oak these days. I mean, this is a science now.
I think it's always been a mixture of what's available and what the economics of cask management is about. And when you're in an era of massive expansion, then you wouldn't have had the opportunity to continually manage the wood as you can today. And I think people know a lot more about it today than they did at that time.
I think you're right too.
But originally, this whiskey would have been built around a low-profile flavour.
Yeah. So you're guessing this was a really light whiskey?
Yeah, that was designed.
That's what that was designed to be, and that's what we're tasting now. It doesn't really have maybe some of the punch and the roundness, certainly through the middle palate. Yeah, probably towards the end as well.
So interesting to see a light whiskey being put in a PX,
Yeah,
and
interesting.
you
It's
would
not there.
expect the PX to totally dominate it, and it doesn't.
It's probably your fault again.
Oh, that's-
Yeah, you know, you developed this 105, you know, big car strength sherry bomb,
So
and all of a
good.
sudden everybody wakes up and says, oh, well, maybe we could do that, even with our light whiskey.
No, I think this was.
It is, it all gets back down to you, doesn't it?
Oh, probably not. Yeah. I'll take the Fifth Amendment on that. Anyway.
What do you think this would have been put in the cask at?
I think it would have gone in at about 60.
Okay, yeah.
30 years, so you're going to lose, I don't know, you're going to lose certainly 3% per annum in evaporation.
In volume, yes.
And then you're going to lose, because it's, you know, in Scotland, it's going to go down to 45 at least over 30 years.
Yeah.
It depends on your luck.
Yeah.
And where it is in the warehouse. But I think you're right, absolutely right. You know, this would have, you know, they've just bottled it as they found it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, there's a real case to be made too that, you know, obviously open your whiskey and try it fresh, you get all those lovely, you know, you should get all those lovely estery sort of flavours character about it. But then, we were talking about this before, is actually getting a bit of oxygen and a bit of warmth into it to start opening it out.
Yeah.
And that's just that Christmas cake spicing. You know, that
I would have thought this
is
is
starting to come out of it now. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have thought this was an experimental cask.
Right.
Because, you know, they wouldn't have been using PX sherry.
That's probably why it was stuck in the backside of a warehouse.
This is
just
kind
full
of a
it.
one-off, I would have thought, and
Yeah.
they were looking to see what could you possibly do, because clearly the distillery wasn't producing a viable whiskey, otherwise it would have shut with it. And
So I presume this is one of only a handful.
I wouldn't have thought they got.
This
very
is
many
this
barrels.
this is just one barrel.
Yeah.
So in fact, I think it says on here this is number 183 of 425.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot left in the cask really. But that's look, it's still interesting.
It is.
You
No,
know,
absolutely.
it's one of those things to be able to taste that little bit of history.
And if I can hazard a guess, you guys are going to get absolutely hammered with this.
Oh well, I think
you got that magic. The magic quotient. It's old, it's aged, it comes from a different era, and it's sherry to a max.
and its cost price, which it's actually only going to be $28 a shot.
What?
$28, and it gets served in these beautiful Denver and Lila glasses made hand-blown in Melbourne, because we just think you should experience it the best way you possibly can. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, gentlemen and gentlemen.
That's a stick.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Very kind attention.
Thank you indeed.
So come and get yours. We'll see you soon, and let's get on with some fucking good whiskey next.
Okay, great.
Aye aye.